Okay guys, this is Scott Horne. Hope everybody's doing well. We're out here in front of a house that we have just purchased. Wanted to walk you all through this a little bit. This is a home that we picked up on our probate mailing lists out there. And so we were able to assist the heirs in their probate mechanisms. And then we bought the home from them. In this instance, we could have paid cash for this house because it was the right price. But it made more sense in this instance to take the property subject to the existing debt. In this instance, because it was a probate, the heirs had no liability in the mortgage. So it made that explanation process really easy because they didn't care what happened on that mortgage out there. But we bought this home for $90,000, and because we did buy it subject to, we had no closing costs or fees per se with our banks or title companies, we were able to pay the sellers a little bit more money, even though the house does need a lot of work done to it. So in this instance, we paid them an additional $20,000 in cash over and above the loan. Now this is a house that has a retail value of probably $189,000, $195,000 based on what you do. If you were to sell this home fully renovated using a owner finance mechanism, the sales price would probably be somewhere in the $210,000 to $215,000 range. But the house starts off, it has really good bones. The foundation was good, the roof was good, the HVAC and the fence were good. So a lot of the big ticket items are in good shape. So let's take a moment and let's walk in the house and take a look at what we're going to do to the home. Welcome to this beautiful home that really has not been updated since the late 1950s or early 1960s. And this is a home that you could do a lot with. We could open up the house and make it flow better. For instance, here in the entry, one of the things we do a full rehab, we'll be taking this entire wall out to an 8-foot section that will just get it to flow a little bit better. I've already had a chance to come through, and you see they got a lot of stuff in the house left here, and they haven't yet moved out completely. But I've had a chance to look at all the flooring, and underneath the beautiful red carpeting is hardwood floors. So obviously we're going to come in, we're going to sand and stain those. But as you look at a house like this, and let's just take a moment and walk through the whole house, where you can see the original old paneling that was normal for homes this age, the wallpaper. You have nice kitchen cabinets. Formica countertops that are in bad shape. Of course, the appliances over here are all needing replacing. You have vinyl on the floor that isn't bad, just needs cleaning. You look at this and you start to make a decision, well, what are my options? And on a home like this, when you've got good bones and the high-priced items are in good shape, it gives you a couple of options. One option is getting this thing cleaned out, doing enough work to it to make the house livable for a future home buyer, but let that home buyer come in and maybe put on the new granite countertops. Maybe they want to paint the cabinets white instead of leaving them brown. Maybe they want to remove the paneling or paint it. And then in the bathrooms that we'll walk through, they're clean and we can get them in nice clean condition, but let that home buyer decide how they want to remodel that bathroom or redesign it for their purposes instead of us spending all the money. So as I look at this from a basic perspective, I would come in this home, get it cleaned out, remove all the carpeting. I would have the hardwoods refinished. I would probably remove the wallpaper, have it painted. Here in the kitchen, I'm going to put in new appliances, new vent hood, stovetop, oven. Dishwasher in this case actually is in good shape. And simply clean the cabinets. I'm going to clean the vinyl floors and not do anything here. Here in the den where the paneling is, we're going to leave this, let the future home buyer decide what to do. And as we walk back through the rest of the house and coming back in, we have our old original bathroom that is fairly easy to see. And this is one of those where, again, we'll remove the wallpaper and those items. We may even remove this fur down and put the AC vent up in the attic because it's easy to do. From here, it's just cleaning it, and I may put a new faucet on, a new light, and those kind of items. maybe a new mirror that's framed just to update it, but stop short. And then let's just walk across the hall into the other bathroom real quick, which is a little bit smaller with a shower in it, and do the same thing where you simply remove items of this nature, put some lights in, paint the bathroom, clean everything so it can be used by somebody. Now when we do that, we're not going to be asking 110% of value. We're going to bring this down below market to make it attractive for a home buyer to market this $20,000 or $30,000 below market, and let that home buyer come in and do the work themselves and save themselves a lot of money. Because so many home buyers, especially if you're in the Hispanic marketplace and they are contractors, they can do this work a lot less than I can and save a lot of money. But you can always come back through and devise different options in how to look at a home. And so that was my first approach, was eliminate the negatives, but let's not accentuate the positives, simply meaning let's not go in and do a full rehab yet. One of the last things we would do, of course, is we'd come in each of the bedrooms and we'd put ceiling fans with light kits in, and we may do some doorknobs just for a little quick bling to make the house look nice. So from there, let's take a moment and let's talk about the second option, which would be going through this house and doing a full rehab. So guys, we're back at the same house where we had talked about having multiple options for rehab. And again, we're not intending to sell this house on a retail basis. Our goal is going to be to sell this house with seller financing and hold it. So as we walk in, if I'm unable to sell it in its as-is condition after doing a few of the minor items we talked about, I'm going to come in, I'm going to take this entire wall out here and open it up to the ceiling so that it gets a little bit bigger entry as you walk in. In the living and dining area, it has the old record type texture on the ceilings, and that's got to go away. And in this room, they built these houses with no lights. Everybody used to use lamps, and so you have switched outlets. We would remove all that, put some can lights in, and a ceiling fan in the middle. One of the options, of course, would be to remove this wall in the den to open the whole thing up. But for this one home in this neighborhood and in this price range, that's an expense we really don't want to incur, putting headers in the attic. And as soon as you pull that wall out, you have hardwood floor issues, and it's just an additional expense I just don't think is needed in this particular neighborhood, in this house.
Wallpaper.
This beautiful 1970s wallpaper will be removed.
New lighting throughout the house.
This door will come out. I'll open it up to the ceiling. As we come into the den, we will get rid of the paneling, of course, texture and paint to make this a lot more bright. This wing wall would be taken out and removed completely. And as we come in the kitchen, of course, we pull the vinyl up, go with tile on the floor. And in this area right here, our goal is to open this up to the den just to get a better flow and maybe a bar top. The problem is these cabinets were all hand built in, and they're not compartmentalized like today's cabinets are. So you have to figure out how to make this work. And I had wanted to take this entire thing back to the refrigerator so this is all open into the den. It's just that it doesn't work if you want to keep the cabinets. So for cost and expense purposes, I would keep the double oven, open the wall up to right here, and it'll still be just fine. We'll just put in a new stovetop. We'll come into the kitchen, we'll paint the cabinets, put new hardware on, granite countertops, and probably in this case we're going to leave the fur downs. We don't usually do that. Here in the breakfast room, a new light would come in. The wainscoting paneling would go away and be painted as well. And this wall between the breakfast and the dining, I'm going to take the whole thing out so it does get a better flow and helps open the house up a little bit. And again, for whatever reason, back in the day when they did homes of this nature, they were always compartmentalized. As we come towards the garage, we have our washer and dryer on both the left and the right. We'll have to inspect all this, make sure the plumbing works, and rework the areas there a little bit. As we come in the garage, obviously you can see where the texture has been peeling off the ceilings and the walls quite a bit. So all this will have to be scraped, retextured, and painted to be a little bit nicer. And there's just several areas like this you have to look at where the water heater is, which is actually in good shape, and some storage. And the key with the garage is not to spend too much money on it, but but to make it nice looking so it is not a negative. And this, with everything peeling, just becomes a negative. Our garage door is good, our opener is good, so that saves a lot of effort right there that we have to deal with. As we come back in the house, that takes care of the living areas pretty well. In the den, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to retexture these ceilings, and it'll be inexpensive since we're already texturing the walls. We'll put a new ceiling fan, and we'll put 4 can lights in here just to help modernize it a little bit and get more light in. And then as we come back to the rest of the house, the whole house is going to get new doorknobs, but really the next big thing to do are the bathrooms. And on older homes, as most people might know if you're in the rehab business, old tile like this winds up having a mortar base to it because they didn't have tile board back in the day. So we'll have to tear all this out, put down a plywood course or two in order to put our tile back on top of it. But we'll gut all this, remove the fur downs, get some more height in here, open and clean this up, probably bring in a new tub, all new tub and trim, faucets, tile up to the ceilings, tile on the floor, new vanity, mirror, can light, exhaust fan, and the things we need in this instance. And although I'd probably also remove this door just so that we only have one entry from the hallway and not both. I just don't think it's needed in a home like this. And as we come across to the second area, I'd probably do the same thing. I'd actually close this door off and try to make this more of a master bath facility, again by getting some height back in here. It's easy to move the AC ducts to the ceiling, but I'd take out this little linen closet in order to make this a larger shower that'll be more attractive, put our glass in, new vanity, light and exhaust fan, new commodes obviously, and tile on the floor. But by doing little things like that, it'll make the house very modern and much more marketable in that regard. Otherwise, the rest of the house is really pretty easy of just paint, flooring, doorknobs, and the little things.
Remember, we have all the hardwood under here.
So as we do that, that will allow us to market this house at 110% or maybe even more in this neighborhood of value. So when you get a home like this, there's always 2 ways to look at it. And the one thing I did that was attractive on this home is I ran the numbers. And you will always make more money if you can sell a house for more money over the length of time. But for this one home, it's going to take about 15 years just to break even on if you're able to do just a small rehab and sell it at a lesser dollar amount versus selling it at full value and doing a full rehab on it. So take the time, look at your numbers, look at your options, and hopefully it'll help you guys out as you walk through some rehabs that y'all do.
This is technically the master, but you're going to make that one the master?
Technically, the answer is yes.
And you're going to shut off this door?
I just think it makes the bathroom more feasible. I think we're good.